should I go into business with my partner? Dun, dun, dun.
Did you see the hesitation when I asked her? See, that's how much it can be, and that's how much it can really take a strain just on the title alone.
It's been a journey. Vin.
It's been a journey. So let's get straight into it. Should you actually go into business with your partner? Should you?
It's based on so many different things. First of all, everyone has different interests, different qualities, different things that they're good at or not good at. And so if you're thinking about, let's just say job, for example, like my background was hospitality, your one is law, still is. And if I thought, well, what kind of business are we going to go into together? I wouldn't want to do law. I'm sure you wouldn't want to do hospitality. Like, it's just not our expertise, right? So that's probably why a lot of people even hesitate to think about, or that they don't, it's not even an option for a lot of people. What do you reckon?
I think first and foremost, we get asked this all the time, and honestly, there's no one right answer for this. There's no one answer that fits all answers. It's really and truly, because people might think of it from a job perspective. For example, if we worked in the same industry, and not going to get into gender bias here, but if you were my boss and then we started dating, and imagine we come home, we're at home, and we work where you're my boss, at home we're equals, I don't know, or vice versa. I'm your boss. So people think it from that perspective. Oh my God, it's going to be weird, and
that's true.
How could you say that to me? And I'm your husband, and you say that to me at work in front of everyone. Or
gets too personal.
Yeah, but honestly, it's not like that. I don't think it's like a job scenario. When you're doing a business is something which you are the owner. Now, whether you're a business owner or operator, we're not going to get into that at the moment. There's a distinction between the two, but really and truly, the main thing is this: we've done it. Many other couples have done it, and in answer to your question, yes, we've definitely learned a few things, and it is something which I highly recommend to do, because the benefits are really rewarding, not only financially, but in your relationship, in the way you kind of treat each other. I think it helps in all different areas. And for me, especially for us having children, children to see that as well, that we're doing this and you can do it and there's no issue doing it. But maybe we could talk about how going into that, what does it first take? What does it first take going into that? And I've got one word, which is ready, but what would you say?
I think just being open, I think is really important, because if you're against the idea in the first place and you're like, no way, can't work with him, I can't work with her, our personalities clash, our relationship isn't good. Well, if you think about it, this may really help everything else that you feel you need to work on. Like, I personally feel like we have become a lot closer since going into business together. But it also, yes, depends, because as Vinay said in the beginning, it's not like a job scenario. I mean, I remember when he asked me, when he opened up his own law firm, and he was like, Roops, I've got such a great idea. And I was like, wow, okay, what's the idea? He's like, why don't you become my secretary, and you can cold call all this list of people and just promote our company. This is what we do. Da, da, da. And I just, in my head, I thought to myself, hell no, why would I want to do that? But then at the same time, I was like, well, I want to support your business and I want to do something that's going to help you. So it's like a battling voice.
See, the funny thing is, when I started it wasn't a firm, by the way, it was an agency.
Okay,
it was a law agency. So I may have, it's a learning curve, because whilst I'm asking you, or you may be asking your partner to become a secretary type role, it wasn't what was meant. It was meant that you're taking a certain part of the business, and sometimes it could be marketing, advertising, or admin. There's many aspects to it. So again, I think it all comes down to one thing, and one thing only for me, is trust. You got to trust each other, and that doesn't mean trusting so that the other person's never going to get it wrong. No, but trusting somebody that that even if you do get it wrong, you're going to make it better, you're going to learn from it. And trusting to a certain extent, that you're saying that, hey, I trust you, you trust me. But I know in the beginning that wasn't my feeling, because I remember when we did a trading course together. And Rupert, I'll tell you about it, that I said to you, I must have said it very passionately. It wasn't like, oh, can you please do this course? Maybe, I don't know how did I say it again?
You're like, we want to become rich. We want to change our lives. Come on, we've got to do trading. We've got to do something different. We've got to think outside. That you were like so excited. You were so passionate. And I was like, trading. Like, I failed everything in school, hate finance, hate economics, hate IT, graphs and charts. Like, the thought of it used to make me feel sick. I was like, how am I going to do trading? Like,
So basically, I said to her, please, can you do this course with me? And yeah, so, it started from there. And the fact that you still did it and you didn't want to do it, that just speaks volumes, because she trusts me to a certain extent. And yes, my methods may not have been, the correct way. But hey, I was passionate about something. She saw that. She recognized that. And I think you got to be in it for the same reasons.
Yeah.
We want to build a business. We want to build a dream. We got goals. We want more out of life than what the average, ordinary person or couple has. So I think as long as you're in it for the same reasons, I think you can go really far. So, whether it be, the business or the industry that you're in, it doesn't matter. I'm from, the law background, you're from hospitality. We've got strengths and weaknesses, but when we put them together, you can really create magic. And,
coming back to the very, like, I would say the essence of even building a business together, like, we wrote our goals down, right? We have individual goals. Then we had like kind of couple goals and like, okay, what would we like to do together? How would we see our lives together? And I remember when I first met Vinay as well, like, well, I mean, not when it wasn't like on the first time I met him, of course, but as I was getting to know him, he was very much like, oh, so what kind of house would you like to live in? And, what kind of car would you like to drive? And like, he had been in this industry, like home-based business industry, like a few years before me, right? When did you start?
2011. So
I started 2013.
Yeah, 2 years later.
So you were already in the zone of like just thinking ahead and like visualizing. And that was all so new to me. So I was like, what is this guy trying to do? Like, I don't know. Why does he want to know so many intimate... And this is stuff I never used to think about. So when I started picturing certain things and I was like, we would basically draw a picture together of like how we want our lives to be, like where we would want to travel, like what kind of house we want to live in. And this is what actually helped me to say, okay, well, if trading is what you want to do, I'm going to be the supportive wife. And, I knew it, I thought it was your thing and not my thing. So I said, I'm going to be the supportive wife. I'm going to go along with it and be like, yes, let's do it together. Even though, like, I had no, kind of idea that I was actually going to get into this. I did it anyway. And I think it's because of the vision that he had painted in my mind beforehand.
Yeah, because, being exposed to things in the industry of network marketing, being open and taking off any kind of limits that you have and just thinking big, dreaming, being able to do that, because, it goes against what we learn. We learn, go to school a number of years and, learn, go and get a good job or, start a business, whatever, and just do that. And you do that for the rest of your life, pretty much what our parents did. So when you come open to a new idea, I got exposed to it a bit earlier, and so I was just sharing what I learned. But it wasn't like a trick, let me sit down and visualize with it. No, I was just sharing, what someone might like talking about, things like that. But there are challenges that come with doing a business together. Unfortunately, it sometimes feels like you're at work all the time, but that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing if the business, you're passionate about it, it excites you. Why wouldn't I want to talk about it over the dinner table? Or why wouldn't I talk about it, whilst we're in bed? Why wouldn't I want to talk about first thing in the morning, But as long as it doesn't, I think whatever we're going to do at the right time. So for example, if it's business, we talk about business. And if it's, we're on a date night, we're on date night. We're with our kids, it's with our kids. We don't let that kind of overlap at that specific moment. But yes, business mode, work mode, you will pretty much be in business mode.
Exactly. And, a lot of the times you may think, well, we're going to clash and we're going to argue about things, and I think that's very normal. But it's so important for you to identify, like, what are your strengths and what are his strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are his weaknesses? And sometimes it can complement one another. So, like, I would be able to do the things that he wouldn't, or he would be able to do the things that I wouldn't. And I remember in trading, like, our trading journey was very different. Like, he's the way he was trading, the way I was trading, and I was starting to get into it. But I remember a moment specifically. We had paid a lot of money, by the way, like for this course that we had done in London, right? So a weekend introductory course, $2,500, and then to learn more, because of course a weekend is not enough when this is not your background. You not have any experience in this. So we paid a further 20.
Yeah,
20,000, 25. And, you know, having done that, now there was a financial pressure that, oh my God, we've paid all this money we didn't necessarily have, but, you know, credit cards, overdrafts, whatever. Like, we did whatever it took because we saw the bigger picture. Like, we want to be able to travel anywhere in the world. Actually, this was my biggest motive. Like, if I could make money in trading and I could live anywhere in the world, that's what I want to focus on. You know, we'll make it happen. We'll try and make it happen. And I remember the first few months, like, it was so challenging, and I kept thinking, oh, it's not for me, it's not for me. And, you know, like, you came home and had a go a few times as well. You're like, why are you not taking it seriously? We've paid so much money. You know, I used to be tired after, like, the long shift at work in my hospitality, and then come home and then you got to watch 8-9 hour videos. Like, it's not been smooth sailing. It's been very challenging. Like, I have my version, but he's got his version, right? So you probably didn't even realize or recognize, like, I was really struggling with it.
No, I didn't realize. I'll check my diary. I'll write my diary. I'll check back on that. I don't mean me getting angry, no.
Well, I've got a journal which I found randomly.
Well, I don't even write in a journal, so I don't even know what I'm talking
about.
But the point here is...
Well, you want to change the subject now? Okay, we'll leave it for another day.
Look, there's a really important quote that comes to mind. First and foremost, yes, when you're passionate, you say you'll do things. And like I said to you at the beginning of this podcast, of course, my methods, or method, however I was feeling, it didn't come across right. So that method wasn't correct. And unfortunately, you know, that's something which I can only say sorry for. But the fact that you're still doing it, and that, because, you know, some people can, you know, hold on to that and just be like, right, because of that, I ain't ever going to do business or anything with you, you know, again. And that's bad.
Yeah.
So it's about us knowing that, yes, we're going to get it wrong. We're not going to bite each other's heads off about that, but we're going to move forward from it. And then we can even have a laugh and a joke about it on a podcast. One thing that comes to mind, Patrick Bet-David, for those of you who don't know him, he's just somebody who's just, you know, an entrepreneur through and through. You know, follow him on social media. And I remember him saying something, and he says, I want to meet the guy who said that husbands and wives cannot do a business together, or they shouldn't do a business together. I want to meet that guy. And the point he was making is, who decided on that? Who accepted that? You know, because that is something which is not true. And he's a very firm believer that a husband and wife should do business together. Why? Because you're a powerhouse of a company. You're a powerhouse. Or you're not one, you're two. And, you know, there's an Indian saying as well, you know, you may laugh, but 1 + 1, my mum used to say, you know what 1 + 1 is? It's not 2. 1 + 1 is 11. Because if you get the two together, you put them together, it's 11.
The kids get so confused by that.
The kids are receiving counselling for that.
What?
Yeah, we're getting in trouble with the teachers, but we're trying to teach them that, you know, when you do something in a team, when you do something with somebody else, or you work in a team, the efforts they you know, exponentially grow. And that's what it's all about. So doing this, yes, there are going to be challenges. There's going to be things that people say, but it's about going over those, because no, we've got something bigger in mind. The end goal means more to us at that specific time.
Yeah, I think it's so important, like, to discuss this with your spouse. Like, if you've always been thinking, well, I would love to do something with my partner, with my spouse, and you just don't know what, just brainstorm. Like, what's the harm in sitting down together and saying, hey, why don't we do something for ourselves? Why don't we, like, not just rely on our jobs or plan A, plan B, have a plan C, D, E. Like, there's never enough, right? But if you can find a common ground where you just brainstorm and you just come up with some ideas. Like, I think, how did you come across trading? Like, we knew someone that traded, right? And then we saw an ad on Facebook, free seminar, and we're like, hey, what the hell? Like, what do we have to lose? It's a free seminar. Little did we know that would be putting a lot of investment into it later, but it's paid off. And I'm so glad that you kept me on the path of, like, you know, encouraging me. You empowered me so much along the way. Like, you know, you made me believe that actually I can do this. And so I started growing passionate about it. So almost a reverse started happening as I was going through my journey in trading. And I was like, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And, like, you encouraging me, it really, really helped build my own confidence. I think that's really important.
And that's incredible to say that, because the funny thing is, I was so passionate when we started. And then along the way, I found out that patience plays a big part in trading. And, you know, I'm making money and losing money, you know, going aggressive, not wanting to be wrong, trying to recover the money, and then you're trading, being very patient. And eventually what happened was I had to step away because I realized that, whatever I'm doing here, it's not working and you know what, trading is a funny game because even today, yes, I can go into the charts and make money, but you have to have a very strong patience. And, me deciding to move away from that and go into law, and you staying with it, it just goes to show that you might be doing a business together and down the line or some point you might want to step away. That's okay. That's okay. Actually a good thing because we can build something together, and for whatever reason, should it transpire that we need to go in a different direction, either one of us, that's okay. We can still support each other. So I think that's important as well. We're not, in business and you're stuck for life. You can still kind of work separate-ish.
Yeah, exactly. And, make sure that if you are doing something together already, you may already be a couplepreneur in whatever you're doing. Definitely make that time to just be together without the business, like enjoy the date nights, enjoy times, away from each other even. Like Vinay's going to Albania in a couple of weeks, and he was like, oh, why don't you come, you and the kids? And I was like, no, you enjoy some time to yourself. Like, I'll be here with the kids. And secretly, I was just thinking, I'm going to enjoy 5 nights with a bed by myself. I'm sorry. But so will you.
Yeah, exactly.
You can snore all you want without someone complaining.
Well, I've invited a few of my friends to come anyway.
Exactly. Turning it into a party.
Look, when you're doing business, there's different aspects of it. One person can take the lead, the other person, are they tagging along, or is it 50-50? I think because we've got different strengths, we've kind of done it always 50-50. Or some, I suppose, in trading, first you were tagging along, and then, you superseded me, then I was tagging along. And then I eventually decided to do something else. But knowing each other's roles, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
We've got a role, as in, it might be your strength, whether it's talking to people. I know when we were doing trading and marketing, that's when we were traveling. We were taking turns to travel, and it's just great actually. Where you can go off to a different country and you can hold events, and then you'll be like, okay, let me go this time. And then I know before when the children were young, we were both going, and that was incredible. And now it's a case where we can't do that at the moment because the children are still young. But it's about knowing your role and knowing your strengths and, kind of bouncing off each other. So it's, there's no right way of doing this. You've got to really try. I'm just thinking back now. Some of the businesses we tried and they folded within, a few months. Some whatever it might be. It might be trade, it might be car wash, it might be an agency, it might be a wedding planning business, whatever we've done. There's so many ways of doing it. Trial and error, I think that's just the best experience.
100%. And if you've got a very strong vision of your future and you keep that goal and you it's a very clear picture, I think that something will happen. Something will come about from conversations you're having with each other, with other people. You go into networking events, you getting ideas, and all this stuff is really important. You may be sitting there, listening to this and thinking, well, I have no idea in the world what I would even do with my partner. Hey, get yourselves out there to kind of entrepreneurial events, mindset events, personal development events, all these kind of things where you meet entrepreneurs and other couplepreneurs. And, sometimes ideas will come about and you'll say, well, this sounds good. And don't worry, just because someone else has already done it, it doesn't mean that you can't. There's an abundance out there. There's so much opportunity, right?
I think you're absolutely right, because one thing I know when we started doing businesses together, we were doing it just me and you.
Yeah.
But I think getting outside help is absolutely crucial. And I'm not talking about, you're going to pay for a business coach or you're going to get some kind of coaching. No, it could be for free. You could be in a business where your business is dependent, or in someone else's business, or someone else's business is dependent on your business. Is that kind of model. And when you have that, you have almost like a coach. You could have them for free, or you can actually go outside. And we've done this before. We've paid for coaching as well. And that has tremendous benefit. And the value you get from it is getting someone outside of the relationship and give you a bird's eye view and it's something that you haven't thought of, or your partner hasn't thought of for whatever reason. I think that's probably helped us more than anything, is having a coach outside of our relationship.
Exactly. And, remember, it's not just going to be something that's for you two, right? Because when you're in business together and you want to go into this, you want to leave a legacy. Like, you want to do something where you can pass down to your kids and your grandkids, and like be able to give value down future generations. Like, it's creating generational wealth. So like, what price are you willing to pay? What compromises are you willing to make in order to be able to have something so huge that it may take you 10, 15, 20, it may take you 30 years to build on something, but that's going to be something that's being passed down. I think this was one of my biggest reasons to do this.
Yeah, I know. Mine too, because doing a business is, for me, I feel that, working in a job, and it depends what job you're in. Of course, there are different types of jobs, different pay structures, and different fulfillment. But for me, working for somebody in a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 for both of us was just not going to happen. And I think it's a great way or a great place to start, maybe, because having a boss is great because you're told what to do, and not having a boss means that you are now the person who needs to be self-motivating, and you need to take charge. So there's pros and cons to that, but I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons. And leaving a legacy, building something of your own, and leaving that legacy for your children too, because I love my children to be entrepreneurs. Our children are going to be entrepreneurs no matter, because they are going to do what we do, not what we say. And I think that's crucial, because my parents, they sometimes they give great advice, but I'm only doing what they've done. I'm only going to do what they've done. And now obviously I'm doing a little bit something different, which they don't fully understand, but hey, they know it's for them as well. I'm doing it for the family. So I don't know, this journey, there's been lots of ups and downs. There's been awkward, funny moments as well. There's been laughs and joy. We've gone on, we go to a country to hold an event, and 2 people show up. You remember those?
No shows.
No shows.
Me shows.
Me show. So when you go, and no show is where the prospect doesn't turn up. Me show is where the person who is supposed to be taking you around the country, he hasn't even shown up.
Exactly.
So you got some of those. So I think, look, we could wrap this up by saying, in conclusion, should you start something with your partner? 100%, absolutely, you should. I feel that you should.
Exactly. And this, as I said, it could be a foundation to make your relationships better, make it stronger, to be able to have a clear vision of what you want for your future. And this is what we're working for, right? Even in our jobs or our businesses, we're working for a better future at the end of the day. So why not do something with your spouse or someone that you love, someone you care about, someone you trust? Take advice from other people, sit down together, write your goals together, brainstorm ideas together, and just trust in the process. I think having faith, if for something that you want real bad, like, it's gonna happen. So 100%, highly recommend it. Do it.
Great. Thank you very much. Please do subscribe to our channel. We've got great content, hopefully you've enjoyed on this podcast, but we've got different topics, different ideas of discussion. Of course, should you feel that there's something that you would like us to discuss, please put it into the chat.
Yep. And nothing is too personal. We're out there for you guys. So we're going to wear our hearts on our sleeves and just give it to you straight. See you next time.